안녕하세요 and welcome. I'm John Boylan, President of the
안녕하세요.
Chamber of Commerce.
반갑습니다. 안녕하세요.
So glad that everyone can join us today as we all face a global pandemic and we have dire outlooks for how long it will take to recover. The fact is we don't always have to listen to what the dire prospects are for the future. We can continue to do our best efforts and work hard to recover as quickly as we can, one business at a time. And the fact is there's already a great existing and strong relationships between Korea, South Korea, and the United States. We have existing relationships with our business to business, and we have a vehicle to do that not only virtually through a number of video conferencing, but also Korean Air. And so what we wanted to do today is bring together to those folks and establish and reestablish some relationships and show how strong we can be and move forward for that recovery. It's my great honor today to introduce Buddy Reiser, because the Dulles region borders both Loudoun County and Fairfax County. We're going to hear from their economic development folks today because we focused on the economic development. We know how hard it is to concentrate and provide those opportunities for businesses to grow and thrive. And there's no better than Buddy Reiser, literally award-winning for all the things that he's done for Loudoun County. And I wanted to kick it off today by welcoming Buddy for a few comments. Thank you, Buddy, for joining us.
Thanks, John, and appreciate that introduction, and I appreciate you having me here today. Also with me today, Bob McCollar, who is our international guru, and Dave Diaz, who is our business development officer. I'm excited to be listening to the conversation about Korea. South Korea holds a very special place for me. I've been able to visit the country 8 times, and I helped to establish a great sister city relationship with Goyang City outside of Seoul. I love the bridges there. When I retire, I want to go do a coffee table book of all the bridges in Seoul. I've built friendships there. I've helped build businesses there. And I was excited to learn one of our biggest data center companies, Digital Realty, is now building their first data center in Seoul. It's going to be a 10-story carrier-neutral facility. It's going to be outstanding, and I think that that's a major step to the continued partnership. We've since added Gangneung as another sister relationship in the country in advance of the Olympics a few years ago. These partnerships have been great from a business perspective, but also from a community's perspective. We've been able to share best practices and everything from education to what we're all going through right now with the pandemic, and sharing supply and learning from each other. It's been a very valuable partnership with our sister city relationships in South Korea. As John mentioned, we have nonstop flights out of Dallas. I don't know if you can see it, but above me I have my model Korean airplane. One of the world's greatest airports is in Seoul. It's Incheon. If you haven't been there, it's really, if you're an airport buff like I am, it's one of the great airports in the world. So with that, I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to listen to this conversation, and I'm looking forward to learning from all of you today. So thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much, Buddy. For those of you who do not know, Buddy Reiser is our executive director who has achieved what very few people have achieved in economic development. He's added over $20 billion to our economy with various investments, very heavily into data centers. We are the world's #1 location in data centers, for those of you who don't know that. And during this COVID-19 pandemic, that estimated $400 million a year in tax revenue every year next year and beyond is going to come in very handy for helping bail out our businesses. So thank you to Buddy for his leadership. Now, on to our distinguished guest from the Embassy of Korea, Dr. Kwon Se-jung. When I was doing my research, it's impossible to properly introduce him. He's received multiple degrees from multiple universities. He's held over a dozen different government positions. He is currently the Consular General with the Embassy of the Republic of Korea. It is our great honor to have him speaking to us today. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Dr. Kwon Se-jung.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning, everyone. And good evening to those joining us from Korea. First, I'd like to thank President John Boylan of Dulles Chamber of Commerce and Executive Director, Buddy Reiser of Loudoun County Economic Development, for organizing this event and inviting me to speak. I'm very pleased to be here with special speakers and guests in this very special moment and very special event. I've joined the embassy in March this year, so I'm still getting to know Virginia and its counties. But so far from what I know, Loudoun County is a fantastic place to live, do business, and raise family. It has great environment, high quality public services and education, high living standards, and proximity to major cities of the US, and connectivity to abroad through Dallas Airport. No wonder it's a magnet for businesses, and no wonder there's great vitality and diversity as Asian and Korean population grows in this county. I believe Asian population quadrupled in Loudoun County in the past 2 decades from 5% to 10%, 20%. To speak of Korean population, there are about 2.5 million ethnic Koreans in the US, about 180,000 in Virginia, Maryland, and these combined, and about 100,000 in Virginia alone. Many Korean businesses from both local and from Korea are situated in Virginia, especially around Fairfax County, but they are expanding into nearby counties, including Loudoun. As you know, Loudoun County has much to offer for new businesses. Its data centers and ICT cluster, high-tech industries, highly qualified workforce, government-related agencies, and clientele base are just a few of the features that would attract innovative business partners from Korea. Korea is Virginia's 10th largest export partner, exporting meat, synthetic resins, and cosmetic products to Korea. And the state of Virginia is Korea's 22nd largest export partner, exporting petroleum products, papers, power transformers, and synthetic rubber to Virginia. The total trade volume between Virginia and Korea stood at around $500 million 10 years ago. In the past few years, it has grown to $0.7 to $0.8 billion. Moreover, US has been Korea's #1 place for investment. Last year alone, Korea invested about $15 billion in the US, which is about a quarter of Korea's entire foreign investment. So there is definitely firm bilateral economic base to expand upon to develop future business ties in various industrial sectors that could benefit Virginia and Korea. I was pleasantly surprised to find out that Loudoun County has sister city relationship with Gangneung City of Gangwon Province, where my hometown is located, and Goyang City of Gyeonggi Province. And Loudoun is in close proximity to local Korean community based in Fairfax, which is an added attraction for future businesses from Korea. So I take my hat off to all of you who work and live in Loudoun, and I hope that Loudoun can exert its resilience to revitalize its economy even amid COVID-19. Now, as requested by Loudoun County, let me speak a little about Korea's response to the spread of COVID-19. Korea's basic principle in tackling the coronavirus has been that of openness, transparency, and fully keeping the public informed. We tested quickly and wisely and widely from the very outset since late January when it was first detected, utilizing our existing healthcare systems as well as setting up hundreds of nationwide COVID-19 screening centers, including now famous drive-through testing centers. And by rigorously tracing those who came in contact and treating those with symptoms, we were able to effectively contain the spread. The key has been making the test sites available to all people. Instead of going through all the details on measures taken by Korea, I have some materials that I would like to share with you on how Korea dealt with COVID-19 spread and economic measures that were taken. The material titled Tackling COVID-19 lays out health and quarantine measures and explains how testing, tracing, and treating, that is 3 T's, were conducted in Korea. The second material is Flattening the Curve on COVID-19, which explains in detail how Korea responded to the pandemic using ICT. The third and fourth materials deal with administrative and economic policy measures that are being taken now. The one titled Safeguarding Economic Resilience, which came out last week, very brand new, is a comprehensive paper that covers a wide range of measures to protect and revitalize the economy. I will send these materials to Bob's email so that he can forward them to those who may be interested. I was also asked to explain about travels to Korea and quarantine measures on foreigners. So let me speak about that for a little bit. First of all, the Korean Air has resumed its direct flights from Dallas to Seoul since June 3rd, 3 times a week on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And it seems that they will continue next month, although it has not been finalized yet. There are also US and Canadian airlines that operate via other cities, so traveling to Korea is not a problem. Since April 1st, all people coming into Korea from abroad, both Koreans and foreigners alike, must undergo a mandatory 14-day quarantine at their place of residence if you are a long-term traveler and have a residence in Korea, or if you are or at government-designated facilities if you are a short-term traveler without any residence in Korea. And all of these people need to be tested within 3 days at a testing place. For those who have A visas, diplomats and government officials, and those who have a quarantine waiver are exempt from mandatory 14-day quarantine. Quarantine waivers are issued by my consulate office in DC. However, there are restrictions which make the process a little bit difficult. There are 3 cases where one can apply for a waiver. First, if there is humanitarian concerns like death in a family who reside in Korea. Second, if there is an urgent business meeting or affair that government agency in Korea will vouch for through an official letter. Or the third, if there is an urgent academic meeting or affair, the school or an organization will vouch for through an official invitation letter. Those who are exempt from 14-day quarantine are tested at the airport, which takes at least 6 hours to overnight for the result to come out. And then they are released. After that, through a cell phone application, they are put under active monitoring, where they are monitored on a daily basis for 14 days. So in a nutshell, there are ways to be exempt from 14-day quarantine when traveling to Korea on an urgent matter. But since preparing the papers for the waiver application and testing at the airport can take overnight, so one must prepare with enough time span in mind. It's hard to tell, frankly speaking, at this point when the door will be fully opened. Let's hope that it will be sooner than later. In closing, I'd like to thank again Dallas Chamber of Commerce and Loudoun County for inviting me to speak before you. I look forward to other speakers. I'm sure that this meeting will be fruitful, not only for the topics being discussed today, but for building network and friendship as we go forward in many other exchanges to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Kwan. The Korea's response to COVID has been extremely impressive, but especially I thought the drive-through tracing was really, really interesting. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks to our Korean friends for staying up so late to participate in the webinar. My name is Ellen Meinhardt, and I am an International Trade Manager for the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, or VEDP. My job is to promote exporting and ensure that Northern Virginia companies are leveraging the international business development resources available from our state. And our 3 main resources are 1, customized international business research, 2, international business development resources, and 3, grants to reimburse international business expenses. After we hear from the American Chamber of Commerce in Korea about why Korea is a great place, a great market for US companies, I will tell you about Virginia's upcoming trade mission to Korea and Japan. Today's panel is going to address why U.S. companies should consider entering the Korean market, as well as how Korean companies have weathered the pandemic and why they are still actively pursuing the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I will briefly introduce each speaker and then ask them your question if time allows. I'd like to kick off the panel with Michael Claiborne. He's the Government and Corporate Affairs Manager from the AmJam of Korea. Michael will explain why Korea is a great market for U.S. businesses. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Ellen, for that introduction. As Ellen said, I'm Michael Claiborne from the American Chamber of Commerce in Korea, and I'm going to give a brief presentation talking about what AmJam Korea is and what the business environment is like here in Korea for American companies, especially in the aftermath of COVID. So if you'll just give me a moment to share my screen. So just to briefly introduce AmJam, we've been here for 67 years. We were founded in 1953. If you know your history, that's since the end of the Korean War. Today we have over 800 member companies and affiliates who together employ 460,000 workers here in Korea. So we have a very large and well-established presence in this country. Our board of governors has 31 members. All of them are country managers, and they represent a very wide range of industries, ranging from food services to defense to cosmetics, and including many iconic American brands. Ambassador Harry Harris is our honorary chair, and we're very proud to work very closely with the U.S. Embassy in everything we do to help American companies here. AmJam has 3 core missions. We support U.S. companies in Korea, we facilitate Korean companies' investment in the U.S., and we help U.S. SMEs enter the Korean market. To give you a little bit of detail about how we do that, first, there's what we call MAIN, M-A-I-N, which sums up the services that we offer. We provide marketing to help companies promote their brands in Korea, advocacy to help them with regulatory affairs and PR, information on the Korean market, and networking so that they can find new business partners. Our membership consists of about 2/3 American companies and 1/3 Korean companies. Many of our closest partners are very well-known Korean brands such as Hyundai Kia, LG, Seiya Steel, and others. We help them to promote their investments in the U.S. and also their engagements with the U.S. government. And the third mission is that we're very committed to helping U.S. SMEs enter the Korean market for the first time. Just last year, we launched what we call the American Business Center. This is a program that we're doing in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Commerce to promote the entry of U.S. small and medium businesses into the Korean market. So we work with the Foreign Commercial Service to offer a very wide range of support to small and medium-sized companies based in the U.S. And part of that is we offer a complimentary 6-month membership. So if you are from an SME or you know any SMEs who might be interested in coming to Korea, please do send them our way. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what makes Korea such a unique and interesting place to invest. So Korea, first of all, is a very unique market, different in a lot of ways from the US. It's very highly concentrated, with a few companies accounting for a large share of the economy, such as Samsung, which is 17% of the economy. That's compared to Walmart, which is just a little bit more of 2% in the US. It's very dependent on trade. Trade accounts for over 30% of its GDP. It has a very highly educated workforce, the most highly educated in the world. It's also one of the most innovative countries in the world. And as I think most people know, it has the world's fastest internet speed. As I think Dr. Kwon covered some of this, it's also a very vital economic partner to the US. In fact, if you count both indirect and direct employment, there are over 500,000 US jobs in the US by some calculations, supported by bilateral trade and investment with Korea. This again gives some figures about Korea's importance to the US. For many important industries, it's one of the top 10 or even top 5 markets for US companies. It's the second largest service market in Asia. It's the second largest export market for US beef. In fact, just a couple of years ago, US beef became the #1 beef in Korea for the first time. Again, Dr. Kwon talked about Korea's very well-known success in combating the COVID pandemic. Korea was really the second country outside of China to be hit hard by the pandemic, and they've done a really fantastic job of dealing with it. It peaked at 909 cases per day in late February, and it's down to under 50 cases per day today. And 50 cases per day is kind of the threshold that the government has publicly set for whether there is a need to impose any strict quarantine measures. And despite what you may have seen in the news about recent uptick in cases, they've still stayed under that 50 per day number. So we're very positive about the way things are going. About 90% of patients are recovered. It also has one of the lowest death rates in the world. Dr. Kwan talked about why they've been so successful, and I just want to highlight from the perspective of American companies here, one thing we really appreciate is the transparency of the Korean government. They do twice daily briefing where they let you know the number of new cases per day and all sorts of very helpful information. They've been very good at providing information in English to foreign residents of Korea and to American companies who are in Korea. And it's really been a great comfort and reassurance to the American companies here, especially when they have to share this information with their headquarters back in the US. One thing I think it's worth pointing out is that there have been no major outbreaks outside of Korea that have been linked to Korea, even though Korea was one of the first countries to be hard hit by the virus. Koreans have also successfully returned to school, and there have been no cases that have been directly contracted within schools. I think Dr. Kwan talked about the status of Korea-US travel. So just to summarize, if you come to Korea from the US, as of now, you will be quarantined. And we expect that to continue for the next few months at least. We are hoping that the situation will improve such that Korea will be able to lower its self-declared alert level and regularize trade and travel with other countries through cooperation with countries like the US. I want to talk a little bit about the business impact that it's had. So right now we're conducting a survey of AmCham companies, and I just want to share with you some of the preliminary results. So obviously most companies have been affected. The biggest impact has been on their travel and event plans, but also decline in sales has been noted by most companies. In terms of the revenue, the majority, I think over 60%, still expect to meet 75% or more of their target for the second quarter. So the business situation is not as bad as many feared when the pandemic first began. In terms of the business outlook, most companies do expect to fully recover within 1 year. And the majority also are not expecting a significant decline in their investment in Korea, though there is about 28% do expect a modest decrease. So far the pandemic has not led to a big decline in what we expect to be invested in Korea. And I just want to wrap up by highlighting that, like everybody else, we've been doing a lot of online webinars. And this has been a great way to keep our community active during these times of social distancing. We held one just this morning with some speakers in the US. And these webinars are free, so please stop by our website and take a look at what we have to offer in our YouTube channel as well, and feel free to join. So that wraps up my presentation. I'll hand it back to Ellen.
Thank you so much, Michael. For all the reasons Michael discussed, plus South Korea continuing to be a major defense and security ally of the US, and Korea's defense systems are based on American standards, Korea is a great market for commercial opportunities such as cyber, medical, and education, as well as defense. And that's why Virginia is having a trade mission to Korea and Japan October 12th through 16th. Trade missions are a week of customized meetings for participating companies. I will attach a flyer in the chat section of our the Zoom webinar, as well as my contact information. Do not hesitate to contact me if your company is interested in participating in our trade mission to Korea and Japan. At this time, I would also like to introduce Ian from the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority to comment on Korean Air's activities.
Good morning. Thank you, Ellen. And good morning to everybody here in Washington, and good evening to those joining from Korea. As mentioned, I'm from the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority. We own and operate Reagan National and Washington Dulles International Airports here in Northern Virginia, Washington Dulles being the global gateway to the nation's capital. I was asked to join to talk about the status of commercial flying back and forth, but it seems that Dr. Kwan has already addressed to some extent that very good news, which is that we have a long-standing relationship with Korean Air. We've been very fortunate to have direct flights between Washington Dulles and Seoul Incheon for a number of years. Up until recently, with the impacts of COVID-19, this has been a daily service. The timing of that flight is also really ideal for passengers on both sides of the flight at very convenient times of day for travelers starting here in the Washington area or originating in Korea. Very importantly as well, it ties into Korean Air's global network at Seoul Incheon Airport to be able to connect to other points within Korea as well as throughout Asia. And right now, this is a crucial air link for our region because of the closures of a number of different routes throughout the world. That is now our sole air link to, no pun intended, throughout Asia. Typically we would have flights to mainland China, Japan, and Hong Kong as well, but those are currently suspended. So Korean Air is our crucial air link to Asia at this time. In terms of the impacts of COVID-19 on the flight itself, when the coronavirus impacts were spreading through Asia, that did not yet impact our flights. Those flights were impacted, however, starting in March as the coronavirus impact spread into the United States, and Korean Air reduced that daily service to 3 times a week. It was then in April when Korean Air had to suspend the vast majority of international flying when the Washington flight was suspended, effective April 13th. In May, as the cases were dropping in Asia, it was announced that Korean Air would reinstate about 20% of their flying, and I think it's a sign of Korean Air's confidence in the Northern Virginia, Washington area market that we were included as one of those first markets to reinstate that flight. So as mentioned, we have 3 times a week service that has been reinstated as of June 3rd. That is Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. But also those flights have already been published to ramp up to 5 times a week effective in July. Again, I think a very strong sign of the close relationship between our communities, the importance of this particular route within Korean Air's global network, and I think a sign of good things to come. As far as things that we are doing as an airport, we also know that the ramping up of traffic also has to do with customer confidence. So we are doing everything in our power to make sure that customers have the cleanest and safest experience through our airport to help and assist those travelers who are prepared to travel, to use that Korean Air service and travel back and forth.
Thank you, Ian. Our next panelist is Brian Sun. Brian is an active angel investor and a partner at Startup Research Company, which is a leading accelerator in Korea. Brian will talk about how Korean startups have responded to the pandemic. Brian?
Yes, I'd like to share my slide. Can you see my slide? Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm going to start. I'm going to be very sharing what's happening right now in Korea. So basically what I see at this moment. As you can see, already discussed many times, there is some statistics show that outlook for economic outlooks published by OECD. This report indicate that Korea will be the least impacted by COVID-19 pandemics. So I'm actually seeing why this statistics is coming in. This is current situation in Korea. As you can see, everything is quite normal. All the restaurants are really packed, and only thing difference is that everybody has mask on it, face mask. So that's the difference. Everything is quite normal. Everything is I mean, as before. How these things happen? Actually, my experience is that we have a same day delivery. Everything is online. So more than close to 2 million products are online, and out of that is about 9,000 is fresh products. You can order by 10 a.m. in the mornings. It delivers by 5 p.m. Also, you orders during the afternoon, it will deliver you in the early morning. So you don't have to go out for the shopping. It's like so convenient. As also startups, one of startups, they call it delivery services. It covers, first of all, was pizza and chicken delivery at the beginning. But after pandemics, they deliver everything. They even deliver the McDonald's, Big Macs. Also, they deliver coffee from Starbucks. So you can order anything, it delivers to your home. It costs you only $2. So if you don't go out, but you can do everything in home. So that's the things happen in Korea. Also, Mr. Kwon talked about drive-through, or first the drive-through test system, but it's going evolving. Actually, it's upgrading. Actually, patients has to be going in the box at the that's the next version, and the latest one is the doctor going into some box, and then only the hands are out and they test it so fast. So what I can say is that Korea is one of the fastest country bring the idea to the market. That's how startups are surviving in Korea. Also, Dr. Kwon also mentioned that everything is online. You can trace some COVID-19 positive in real-time basis, also locations. So you know where these people went through, so you can avoid to visit these kind of places. Also, there is a face mask. Everybody wants to buy the face mask, but you can see how many stocks available around by your home. So you don't have to miss. You can just check the stock availabilities, and you go and you buy the face mask. So also I like to highlight that it's getting to everything is online, even car. You can talk to messengers, and you negotiate the price with the dealers, and they deliver the car to your home. So even the car you can purchase online and you deliver to your home. Also, lastly, Korean governments they put the $1 billion to build ecosystems driven by 5G and AI. So public kind of spending will spend more on these gathering all the data available. So I'm going to share these things. So we talked about this. This is how we react to these issues, because Korea is all covered by internet, and everybody has a mobile phone and PCs and fastest network speed. That's why everything is possible. So I used to do the stock broker before, so I always looking at the stock market to looking ahead, what's happening, what we expect from the industry. As you can see, at the end of the last year, there is a top 15 company in the stock market. Is of course Samsung Electronic, right? Things. And recently, I checked it again, and I see some really interesting point. There is lots of company never seen before on top 15. Those are some company. Of course, semis are always there, semiconductor, and bio company. I seeing a lot of it, and also rechargeable batteries. Tesla. They are really successful in the state, and also Korean market. There's lots of electric vehicles available. So that's why the battery producers are very, very strong in stock price. Also, gaming companies such as NCSoft, because people don't go out, and young people, they play the game 24 hours. So that's why the game company, their revenue is so strong these days. So internet, of course, they are very strong. So what's the opportunity for US company for doing business in Korea? I brought a lot of the keywords, so you can think about it. So uncontacted is kind of main theme in Korea. So games, so you play your game your home by yourself. Also groupware, Zooms, and so ERP system. Also, there's lots of e-commerce. But interestingly, lots of the Korean consumers, they are highly loyal to the brand name before, but these days the distributors such as Coupang, the next day delivery, they have their private levels. So you don't have to have a brand. If you have some really good products, they can sell it for you. So this is kind of interesting thing happening. Of course, bio healthcare is very popular, and telemedicine is quite new to Korean market. So there is a lot of US good. I heard that a lot of US good companies out there. So you can test in Korean market anytime. Vaccine, of course. Semiconductor, because of the popularity or strong demand of semiconductor, the DRAMs and the video RAMs, the Samsung Electronics and Hynix, they are expanding capacities very aggressively. So they need to have more chip designers and tester equipments. Also, they want to have more advanced manufacturing technologies, such as robots. That's really interesting part. Also, rechargeable batteries, they're also expanding the capacity very heavily. So they want to have more technologies in materials and chemicals. And lastly, governments put the $1 billion to put all the data into the system. So we need to have more company who does data analysis and cloud or artificial intellectuals, so AI. So those are keywords that are going to be very popular post COVID-19. That's what I expecting. So if you want to anything about more deeper information, please let me know. I can provide more information on this. This last report from the stockbroker, so you can share with you for your reference. That's all for now.
Brian, you gave me a good prospect list, so the company to be targeting for our trade mission. I have one quick question, because I think these Samsung and LG are particularly interesting for US. That's what you always hear about. And I was just wondering, how can startups, be it US or Koreans, work with these conglomerates?
Yes, actually, before, 2 years ago, Samsung, LG, they believe that they can do it by themselves. Everything is in-house, and they do have a new business development department in-house. But recently, they changed. You can see on the newspaper, there is lots of open innovation activities. They have corporate venture capitals they just established. So lots of the investment going into to the startups. And also they very open to the global. Not they don't only invest in Korean startups, they also invest into the lots of things who have technologies. They don't care where the nationality is. So if you have any startups wants to showcase to Korean conglomerates, there's lots of open innovation centers. So run by these large companies. So very easily be in contact to those large companies.
That's exciting. That's extremely exciting for startups. So thank you for that information. Our next panelist is Mr. Moon. Mr. Moon is the Director General at Korea Innovation Center, which is a nonprofit South Korean government-funded entity to promote Korean tech-based startups in the US. Mr. Moon will discuss how Korean startups have fared in the US during the pandemic and why the Washington, D.C. metropolitan region continues to be one of their strategic hubs. Thank you, Mr. Moon.
All right, Ellen, thank you for the introduction and thank you for having me. Let me just share my screens real quick. All right, so I think I'd like to give you a brief introduction of who we are, and so that you can kind of understand why we are kind of decide to be located in Washington, D.C. and DMV area to helping the Korean startups getting into the East Coast market, and particularly targeting DMV area. So Korea Innovation Center is government-backed incubator, helping Korean tech companies coming into the United States, particularly focused on to the technology commercializations. So we have 4 different offices in the worldwide, one in German, Berlin, and China office in Beijing. We have 2 offices located in the United States, one in the DC and the other one is in Silicon Valley. But all these 4 offices have a similar function and roles and responsibilities, helping the Korean tech company getting into the each regional market, and as well as identify some of the high potential technology companies getting into the Korea as well. So we are not only helping the Korean companies coming to or going out of Korea, but we are also helping the different technology from the different regions getting into the Korea market as a leverage Korea for the test bed, and then getting into the adjacent market, including China, Japan, and Southeast Asian countries as well. So typically we have 4 or 5 accelerating program annually, but each annual accelerating program consists of 3 different stages. First one is boot camp in Korea, second stage is an accelerating program, and third stage is post cohort. So each stage has a different themes and concepts and then activities, but I think we are focused more on the selecting the reliable and high qualified companies from Korea. That is the key success factor. So down the road, when we just helping the Korean companies into the post cohort stage, this highly selected companies are making a significant advance and achievement. All right, so unlike any other people from joining the Korea Innovation Center located in Vienna, and we have kind of critical situation facing with COVID-19 because it affects everybody, and then it affects our operations significantly this year. And like I said, we host a 4 to 5 tech accelerating program annually, and then including biotech, IT, and AI and cybersecurity. We are bringing about 100 companies annually to the East Coast market, particularly targeting DMV. For our program, top priority is selecting and recruiting companies from Korea, but throughout this year, we are unable to go to Korea selecting the companies, having a face-to-face meetings. So we are kind of replacing all this selection process, applying online program. So we had to come up with solutions to address our challenges and proceed our program differently this year. We decided to facilitate our entire program via teleconferencing using apps such as Zoom and Google Meeting platforms. So this online session so far will be very productive and successfully managed. But thing is that even though online session will not be a productive effective, but so far our program via managing the online system was very successful. And you want me to talk about the opportunities of Korean tech startups as well?
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think there is opportunities for Korean tech startups. Many businesses in Korea have struggled because of COVID-19, but at the same time, the pandemic brought many opportunities for Korean tech startups. I think many of you agree with me on this, but that Korean government brought the COVID-19 pandemic under control successfully. Most businesses are open in Korea, and I'd like to highlight that Korea never ever shutting down. So I think in a certain matter in Korean startups, some of the Korean startups having struggled with COVID-19, but many of Korean startups are having seen this COVID pandemic actually brought a lot of opportunities. Not only opportunity to make money, but also to expose, to promote its technologies, and the opportunity opportunity to prove the technology could be used to save many people's life under critical life-threatening situation like now. So I'd like to share some of the kind of technologies that has been applied to the Korean market, and then what type of the technology can be helping the Korean government effort and measures to control COVID-19 in Korea. So number one is smart phone apps tracking new visitors to Korea. So as the Ian mentioned and Mr. Kwan and other panelists mentioned, at international airport, government has set up a walk-through facilities that test anyone with the symptoms for COVID-19 and follow up with to ensure those without symptoms are tested within 3 days. So new arrivals and travelers have to download the government smartphone app that track their locations and ask them to report any symptoms accordingly. So those who have not shown any symptoms upon arrival are forced to self-quarantine for 2 weeks, after which app displays a message saying that they are allowed to delete the apps from the phone. So this tracking technology actively support the Korean government to bring COVID-19 under control. Okay, and second technology that I'd like to highlight is smart city technology. So South Korea already started build a smart city database to monitoring traffic and pollution across city and provincials. During this COVID-19 pandemic, this infrastructure has been used to track COVID-19, okay? Health authorities use CCTV footage and credit card transaction data, travel information, and location data to keep tabs on patients. So using this smart city data bank combined with AI technology would take roughly 10 minutes to figure out where a patient traveled over the course of the day. So most of this tracking system identify any infected kind of patients and then sending out notification and alerts to those residents and peoples within the territory at the same time in the same area. So this is kind of very effective tools managing the COVID-19 in Korea right now. And the third one is the inventory tracking portals. So during the pandemic, Korea was shortage of the face mask. So there are a few Korean startups create a portal that tells you where to buy a face mask. It tells you where the nearest place you can buy a face mask, and even tells you the size availability. Because of this portal, many people avoid wasting their time searching for a place where the face masks are available. So all this technology, the backbone of this technology of these portals and apps are based on the AI and clouding technology. Even though the technology is not new, but these Korean tech startups utilize those technologies appropriately. Okay, and these kind of apps become so useful when it was critical for everyone to buy a face mask. A lot of Korean people download and use these apps to purchase a mask in the middle of pandemic now in Korea. And then also Korean tech companies, including startups, have contributed so much in the middle of the pandemic period. I'd like to share a few of those important solutions and platforms in Korea in these days. In particular, educational technology, smart training education platform is introduced. One of new post-COVID trends in schools will be using more e-learning platforms. So these systems and technology will allow or provide more and better access to a variety of educational contents. Through these systems, they can they can do the attendance check and class content management and tracking students' performance, even evaluating students' assignments and projects. So right now in many Korean universities and high schools already adopt this e-learning platform and the solutions. So this number will be increasing. And second technology that I like to highlight is antibacterial and COVID detection related to product and the services. So antibacterial and COVID detection products such as infrared cameras, nanofilter face mask, working through testing rooms, and antibacterial sticks will be in high demand for a long period under the pandemic. So among many in this field, the one company that I like to highlight is a company who has developed the handwear sanitizing equipment. Most of the time, using the escalator and walkway handrail is causing critical health problems sourced from various pathogenic diseases and viruses because thousands of people using them daily. So this product aims to contribute improved hygiene by sterilizing bacteria and viruses simply by attaching its equipment to the escalator or walkway handrails. And so this is kind of the Korean technologies and then solutions, platforms right now introducing in the any other outside of Korea. So probably these products or solutions will be soon becoming introducing to the United States market. So I see the COVID-19 pandemic situation will continuously bring many good opportunities, not only Korean tech companies, but many other tech startups in different countries, which has been developing high health-related products and services with high solution and technologies. Okay, that's about my presentation though.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. There's a lot of innovation coming out of Korea, and you've answered all the questions that I had for you.
Okay.
So now I will turn it over to Andrew Yu from Fairfax County.
Thank you, Ellen. My name is Andrew Yu, and I'm the Business Investment Manager at Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, responsible for our activities in Asia and Asia Pacific. And I, for one, am dying for this 14-day quarantine to be done with so I can go to Korea. I've missed 2 trips already. Now, as we transition our thoughts and conversations, it's my pleasure to introduce representatives of 2 companies and their specific experiences during the COVID-19 time and what we can learn from them. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. Chol-min Kim. Mr. Kim is the CEO of eHost ICT in Seoul, Korea. He has extensive experience in the data center industry and established his company in 2004. He's also the vice president of Solus IDC, the first artificial intelligence data center to be built in Korea in 2022. Mr. Kim established eHost USA in Fairfax County, Virginia in 2019 to capture the growing data center business in the US. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Chol-min Kim.
Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Chol-min Kim, and the CEO eHost ICT. Especially, I really appreciate all of you attending this early morning. This is great honor and a pleasure to introduce my company today. I think everyone has been experiencing a lot of difficulties already with the current COVID-19 pandemic situation. I hope that we can work together to overcome this crisis successfully. Now, let me begin by introducing my company briefly. Ever since I started eHost ICT company in Korea, I have dreamt of building data center in the United States someday. So I have been working with great passion for the past 60 years to make this dream come true. While doing so, a good opportunity came along the way, and finally, on August 19, 2019, we made it first debut in Fairfax County on the name of eHost USA. There are two reasons why I chose Fairfax County as the first US branch of our company. First, Fairfax County is the birthplace of the internet. We are a data center company, and the internet can be regarded as the backbone of our business, for sure. Therefore, Fairfax County has become more meaningful than other cities for me. Naturally, I was very excited on the day of our US branch establishment. Second, there were very efficient and extensive supports from the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. It was not easy to open an office in the US due to different business environments and legal issues from Korea. However, thanks to the authorities' assistance, we were able to easily enter Fairfax County. On the consultation of encompassing whole process from offering a cooperation to renting an office in field. I think COVID-19 was a big shock and fear around the world because on the pandemic era, instead of meeting and greeting people in real, you have to choose virtual meeting like today. Also, no country in the world can be said to be safe from COVID-19. And no one knows when this will end. But I think humans are animal of adaptation. Even in the prolonged recession, you have tried to find a way. And paradigm has been changed already. It's very obvious to see that COVID-19 has shifted the center of the economy from offline to online. Most of normal activities which were done offline, such as education, culture, and arts, have converted to online environments. Moreover, work from home has become a new normal in the whole world. In this sense, I believe data centers are no longer optional business area. Recently, the Korean baseball games have been live streamed in Korea and even to the US, and including BTS and other popular K-pop stars have started live streaming as well. So there have been many inquiries from US and other global data center operators. That means I think in early stages there might have been business contractions caused by pandemic issues. But I think it always has laid groundwork for planning a new plan in the long run. So we want to turn the crisis in COVID-19 into a new opportunity. Digital innovation and untaxed service across all industries, such as online education, work from home, telemedicine, and delivery apps, will be temporary social phenomena, but a long-term trend of change. I believe many opportunities will be emerging soon, in particular through this new phenomena, and the infrastructure business, which is called data center, will be inevitable. And in connection with the rapid introduction of the first industry, it will lead to the expansion of the data industry worldwide. Under this situation, my company, eHost HT, will be located not only in Seoul, but also in other places in Korea. We are building a new data center in the central region of Korea, which is called Chungnam Province. This data center will be the largest one optimized for AI business in Korea. Currently, everyone is struggling with the COVID-19 and the economy fallout is very obvious for the time being. However, I firmly believe that new data center, especially optimized for AI business, will be a breakthrough for overcoming this crisis. To do so, I think an appropriate environment must be prepared in advance. While pursuing those efforts, we will try to be most competent company by taking Fairfax County as the global base camp and establishing AI data center in the future. I'd like to wrap up my presentation by highlighting that the United States is the birthplace of the internet for me and the biggest energy source for my business. Once the vaccine successfully are implemented and the travel restrictions are lifted, my engineers, including myself, are planning to visit the United States as soon as possible to extend my data center business. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Yeah, I can't wait to see you in person also. So instead of going into questions now, I think I'll introduce our next guest, and then after his presentation, maybe we'll have a couple of questions after. Dwayne Baker, how I'm gonna introduce Mr. Baker is gonna do him injustice because his experience is so wide and vast. So please forgive me. It's going to be condensed. Mr. Dwayne Baker is a business development analyst principal in Rotary and Mission System business area of Lockheed Martin Corporation. He's done international business development in Korea, Taiwan, India, Egypt, Turkey, Australia, Singapore, and Spain. Mr. Baker retired as a captain from the U.S. Navy in 2005 after 32 years of service. So thank you for your service. He's a mechanical engineer. He has a mechanical engineer degree from U.S. Naval Academy and a master's degree in human resource, as well as a master's degree in national security and strategic studies from the U.S. Naval War College. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dwayne Baker, and I'll give him the floor.
Thank you, Andrew, and good morning and good evening to everyone on the call. It is truly my distinct pleasure to join with you today. I'm so pleased to see some of the faces of folks that I have known for a very long time, Ian, Ellen, others that are out there. And in sort of one of the classic American practices, I would like to give a shout out to my good friends at COTRA. I have certainly had the good fortune to know them for many years and have attended to the Innovation Center in Tyson's Corner on several occasions. And most specifically, I think I should reach out to my good friend, Dr. Shin Sung-hoon, who was the Deputy Director at COTRA here in Washington for a number of years. And I have followed his career and his family very closely as they have opened new offices in India and elsewhere, and is now back in the United States, but is in Michigan, in the Michigan office up there for COTRA. So anyways, I've had the good fortune to visit Korea on a number of occasions. I very much enjoy going there. I enjoy the culture. I enjoy the physical plant. We at Lockheed Martin Corporation have some 110,000 employees and have about 70 offices overseas, including one in Seoul, just south of the Han River, coincidentally very near where the Olympic torch facility was located during the Olympics from some time ago. And that office is fully manned. So let's talk a bit about how Lockheed Martin responded to the coronavirus COVID-19 event as it has unfolded. Curiously, our corporation response matched pretty well the response that has occurred and has been described very well today in Korea. We moved very early as this problem arose to fundamentally send people home to work from their homes. And even today, of the 110,000, approximately 60,000 of our employees have been working from home quite successfully since early March. Personally, I have not set foot in my own office on site since the 12th of March and have seen no interruption at all in either our IT services or in our ability to conduct business. So the corporation very early on concluded that one of the things that we needed to pay real attention to was our own supply chain. So without any prompting, to date, we've accelerated payments to our small and medium-sized suppliers to the tune of about $450 million US dollars in advance of their normal payment schedule. We've also contributed around $150 million to various community activities. Because we're located in so many communities across the country and around the world, that has been an important part of the way we've approached this whole matter. In addition to monetary contributions, we've done quite a lot of in-kind activities in the sense that we applied much of our additive manufacturing capability, otherwise known as 3D printing, to manufacture personal protective equipment and then distribute it at no cost to hospitals and schools and public governments across the country. In addition, many individuals within the corporation have made and delivered things like homemade face masks. And it just goes on and on. We're sufficiently large that we actually have a medical staff with physicians and nurses. And so the corporation and the individual business units, and as Andrew said, I'm part of the Rotary and Mission Systems business, one of the 4 major business areas within the corporation, at a very high level on a very regular basis, at least weekly. There are webcasts for all the employees to see and understand our reaction to the virus, and that's paired with email communication, resources of various kinds, not the least of which we have made available mental health care beyond the normal to our people who are feeling somewhat isolated, as everyone is around the world. So, in my opinion, the corporation has done a good job of taking care of those things. Our actions, in fact, were put into place in many cases well before state governments and local governments across the country. And part of that is because of our presence in so many different places and to provide a consistent response, we took that on early. So as time marched on, and literally within days of sending everyone home, the tasking came down to characterize all 110,000 employees into one of 4 categories. The first category was that group of people who truly needed to be on site to do their work. Think about touch labor, think about manufacturing. Those people needed to be able to get back to the work site. And so lots of things were put into place to provide personal protective equipment and additional cleaning assets. And so there was a lot of things done to make sure that those people would be able to work safely from their work site. The second group were people who needed to be on site, but not necessarily all the time. And oh, by the way, for those that have to be on site, we split the shifts so that there would be fewer people on site at any given time and still progress the work as needed. So the second group were people that needed to be on site, but could from time to time take their work elsewhere and work remotely, and they were allowed to do so, of course. The third group were people who were deemed to be effective from remote work locations, but their efficiency might be improved by occasional visits to the work site. And then finally, the fourth group were the people who were deemed to be able to work remotely indefinitely without negative impact on their work. And as a business development professional, I fit into that fourth category. And so the expectation is that certainly for my group, we will not return to our offices in any sort of regular way until at best the end of this calendar year. So we're likely to extend our efforts much beyond what some of the local governments have taken in terms of the term that's used of reopening. We don't need to reopen. We've been open all along. We've just been open a bit differently. And so the work progresses. Because one of our primary customers is the U.S. government, the U.S. government has found a way to work remotely as well. And so we continue with our efforts. I would say to you, as just a personal comment, that to some extent working remotely is somewhat less efficient insofar as it's difficult to get up and walk down the hallway and speak to a colleague that you're engaged with. But as an example, at this very moment, I'm a very critical part of two very large capture efforts that are going on and doing proposals virtually. So it hasn't really impeded our ability to do things, although for a while at least it slowed things down a bit. But we're business as usual, other than not being able to see one another, which is a bit frustrating, but that's the way it goes. So Andrew, back to you.
So thank you, Dwayne. And I'll owe you breakfast when things start to get back to normal for that injustice of an introduction.
No worries, Andrew. You and I have known each other for eons, so that's okay.
Yeah. And the moral of this story is, as Mr. Kim said, everything is going from offline to online, and the way that we can capture this opportunity, I think, is to make that transition, and to the extent that everyone can follow that trend, is where I think people are going to be successful. So far, I think we've underestimated the amount of content that's very interesting and informative. And unfortunately, due to our time constraint, we're going to have to pass on the question and answer session. And now I'd like to pass the baton over to Alex Imes. He is our Executive Vice President of Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, to say a few words.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I want to thank John Boylan for convening this great initiative by the Dulles Regional Chamber and our key economic development stakeholders in Northern Virginia and across the world. Thank you also to Dr. Kwan and all of the speakers who have been part of the program today. It's been extraordinarily illuminating. I've visited Korea and remember it vividly for the warm people, the rich culture, the vibrant business environment, the world-class cities, and beautiful landscapes. Just an incredible country. I learned much more about Korea today, its economic success and innovation, and its adept handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, including getting major systems back online, such as businesses, travel facilities, and schools. In these unprecedented times, it's so important to have a strong presence in key markets like Korea. Fairfax County has maintained an office there since 2005, and I'd like to recognize quickly Charles Kim, who's our Korea Marketing Director and in attendance on the webinar today. Hopefully this is just the beginning. of a greater dialogue and interaction about the road to economic recovery. And it looks like Asia, and especially Korea, is leading us in how to reopen markets and get back to business. We're so grateful for all the partners on the call today. Back to you, John.
Thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate everybody joining us today. Dr. Kwan, thank you so much for your words and keynote remarks. Buddy and Alex, your leadership throughout the county makes a difference and really leads the state and the region in getting us back in a strong recovery. As you build relationships, we're finding that you can use Zoom or video conferencing in order to engage. You still need those touches and build relationships before you do business. And I think this is exactly what we need to do. And then when we're able to get back and quickly with Korean Air, to be able to go back and forth and build on that business. Because if there's a place to look forward to with the innovation and the technology, it's Korea. And it matches perfectly what we've been trying to do and have been successful in Northern Virginia. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. The recording will be available, but I look forward to more opportunities to engage with Korea and U.S. businesses, and look forward to helping you with the Dulles Regional Chamber. Thanks to our moderators and all the supporters and sponsors that made this available today. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr.
John.
Kwan.
Bye.
When Cornerstones was established in 1970, its founders recognized that even in a community where people are welcomed and are welcoming, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or socioeconomic background, people could work hard and still not earn enough to support their families, that there would always be hungry people or people in crisis. Many in our community are just one unexpected life event away from living in their car or on a friend's couch or on the street. No one plans on being homeless.
My life before, I was the owner of a big pharmacy in Washington, D.C. In August of 2010, I discovered an embezzlement of several $1 million. And by the summer of 2014, I have lost everything. The house and my business. We have yet to leave the house in Great Falls. And in October 4th of 2014, we entered the Embry Riker Center. My first impression was a surprise. It was a pleasant surprise. The people were very, very nice. I got a nice welcome. And we got a nice room. And my biggest surprise was the food. There was a kitchen with 4 ladies cooking fresh food 3 times a day. And my biggest pleasant surprise was my case manager. He provided a lot of love and psychological support, and he explained to me all the services that Cornerstone is providing for the homeless people.
Our comprehensive programs provide stability to people in times of crisis, resources that promote empowerment for moving forward, and hope for the future. At Cornerstones, we meet people wherever they are, without judgment.
Now I have my home. My daughter, she's in school, she's very good. She's gonna go university. My husband, good job working. Now I'm thinking to go to university, to finish my university, and to find good job after that.
Providing stability is only the first step. Where Cornerstones is different from other organizations is in providing the gift of time and resources that continue after the immediate crisis has passed. Cornerstones empowers people to take the next step in what is often a longer journey to well-being through their own hard work and the tenacious support of Cornerstone staff, volunteers, and partners. And we see the difference that makes every day.
I become a citizen and I enjoy the class, and it's helped me also. My English is become better and I speak better now, and I understand also people when they talking. And after that I interested and I help her in the class. When I become citizen, I still come every week and help in the class.
When we got the place, the Cornerstone has been extremely supportive to us. They furnished the house because I didn't have anything left. New beds, tons of food, and any supply you can imagine. My case manager came here, brought cleaning things, sheets and clothes and food. So the ladies came here, they fixed everything for us. So it was an easy and very pleasant transition from the shelter to this place. And I'm very appreciative.
These individuals can imagine a future they thought out of reach and can begin to make goals for a better future. Goals we all share for ourselves and for our children. Goals that are possible with the support and partnership that you provide.
Immediately when we moved to the community, we knew that Cornerstones was going to be an excellent partner and build a strong relationship with us. We've been very involved with the organization, whether it's volunteering at the Embry-Rucker shelter, participating in the Help to Homeless walks, and just frankly helping to secure affordable housing for those individuals living in our community. It's such a critical need to build a better Reston.
Cornerstones is proud of the role we play as a participant, convener, interconnector, and advocate, bringing people and sectors together to solve some of our region's most challenging problems. Our readiness program for job seekers has been adopted countywide, and with our business leaders, we're defining the skill sets needed for our current and future workforce. With Reston's Opportunity Neighborhood Initiative, Cornerstones is working along with our partners to see that all children thrive in a healthy start in life and are prepared to excel in school and career. And true to Cornerstone's founders, we believe that our job is to end homelessness, not just manage it, by developing housing that is affordable for people over their entire lifetime. Together with our partners, we have reduced homelessness in Fairfax County by 47%. We remain firmly rooted in the Reston community goals handed down by its founder. We apply the value that all may live, work, play, and serve in the many areas which Cornerstones operates today.
Cornerstone, it's a very, very important organization. Based on my experience, is providing a tremendous help to needy people. And I cannot express in words how appreciative I am for what Cornerstone has provided for me and my son. And most of all is, besides again all the material things we get, is the love and the attention we get from the case management.
It's like I'm become like, now I'm doing things, I'm happy. Yeah.
I came to the United States 3 years ago. I didn't know any English, and I was at home most of the time. I didn't go out or anything, but when I got to school, there was when the real test started. When all my teachers were talking to me, nobody knew Spanish, and the people who knew Spanish preferred to speak in English, and I completely understand, because this is America at the end. But it was really hard because I didn't feel like myself. For a moment, I felt like I didn't fit in, no way. I was just like home, school, school, home. And yes, I knew I lived here near Coolmore and everything, but I really didn't went outside or tried to do anything for my community. So my friend, one of my friends I met her through the ESOL program too. So she told me that she was working here. This year I decided to come, and things has changed a lot. I feel like I'm part of a community now. I don't know what we will be without the Teen Center. because they are just a place in which I just can come after school and just feel like something is okay for once, even if everything is going or falling apart on the outside. Here is a place in which I feel safe. There are things that I do here that actually matters, you know, like life skills and leadership development and all those things. So right now I'm working in this career research, we can call it like that. So we are trying to find a job that we want to work on. We are finding some companies that we want to work for, and we are trying to find the descriptions and all the things that we need to get there. I'm a senior at high school. I'm gonna be the first generation student. So yeah, I'm gonna be the first in my family to pursue a post-secondary education. I want to become a prosecutor. That's my goal, and I want to help. I want to give back to my community, not only because they have helped me, but I think that we need more people to stand up and defend the defenseless. So the second story, the teen centers, everything is just, I don't know what life will be like without them.
I moved to 2015 in the US. After I came here, we have a little bit problem with my stepmother. So me and my dad, we talked. He told me to move out. And then he got like a house from, I think he knows her. She's not like really my cousin, but he knows her. And then he asked us to live with her. Then I went to her house, it was a living room. And then I used to pay her like $350 a month. And I started working like every day. This I can say like every day. I don't have enough time to do my homework, to study. I don't even have to go to the library. I have to graduate from high school. That was my, no matter what happened. But thanks God, like I got second story that helped me like to achieve that my goal. When I found out I got accepted, I was so excited with it. I was so really excited. After I got accepted, like one of my case manager, her name is Crystal. So she was like working hard with me. She helped me to find house near to like close to my school. The second story for me is like a family. Like I never talked with my dad like 2 or 3 years. Never ever. Never texted me, he never called me. So whenever I need help, whenever I need help, the support, I just talk to the second story with my case manager.
Well, I tend to see myself, or I try to see myself as a mentor rather than a social worker. I try to level up with them and try to give them all the advice they can, because I've been there, done that. So just sitting down with them and going through whatever issues they have at the moment, helping them brainstorm ideas, bringing up suggestions on how they can do things better, teaching them life skills, it's very important. Getting the kids to be more independent. Because if you look at their situation, they're homeless at a young age, they're still trying to finish high school.
She's taught me a lot of things, to be honest. I didn't know how to use a credit card. I didn't know like how to use respect, be on time. I started saving money, started getting my car. I never had a car 2 years ago. Now I have a car.
I would say the priority, the most important thing is second story being able to pay for the rent. Because if you think about it, you go to school full time and you can't really work more than 30 hours a week. And that doesn't allow them to make enough to be able to pay for rent.
They pay me rent at least 70%, which means I don't work a lot of hours. And I'm gonna have time to study or to do my homework to bring my grade up. And I'm gonna have time to talk to my teachers after school.
Abel has always been focused on school and his education, because to him it's like, if I don't get my diploma, it's like I can't do anything, I need to have my diploma so I can go to college, get higher education so I can get the job and the life that I want. And I think that's great that he just sees the big picture, and he's been really focused.
I want to be a web developer, and I want to have like a great job and help my family.
Belle, I would say is definitely confident. He knows what he's doing. He's very smart. Over the year and a half that we worked together, I can say I've seen him evolve and take more control of his life. Yeah.
When I came here, I had a goal. I have a big goal. Just getting a good job and helping my family. it's a big support with me. It's a big support. It's a lot of things changed, to be honest. It's a lot of